Welcome back to the show. Today I want to share some thoughts with you on who has your keys. Who has your keys? You're going to say, John, what are you talking about? Who has your keys? Well, you're going to see, hopefully in the next half hour or so, that there are people in your life that can influence you in ways that maybe you haven't considered before. Let me share a couple small stories. Way back in 1988, I got started in the financial services business, that is, marketing insurance products and retirement planning to individuals, families in my region. Way back then, I was about 21 years old. I came out of the retail environment, and I was pretty unsure of myself at the time. So how I got into the industry was my uncle, Harry, at the time, had been in the business for some 30 years then, and he suggested that I consider it. Well, I was the last guy on the planet that would ever consider getting into sales. So long story short, I eventually was hired by this company at the time called Sun Life Insurance Company of America. And my manager's name is John at the time. And there were several times when he would take me out to appointments to train me. And a few times, John would take along this guy named Steve. And Steve was another agent, another sales rep in the office. But Steve had been doing this business at the time for several years. But see, John and Steve were both smokers. I'm not a smoker. So John and Steve would be in the front seat of the car, and they're smoking away, taking me from appointment to train me how to do what I do. And most of the time, I would get out of the car and I would smell like cigarette smoke. Now, I'm not a smoker, never did smoke, not interested in smoking, but I would smell like smoke. And then there were hundreds of times, way after my training was done, that I would go into people's homes that had dogs, like lots of dogs, had lots of cats. I was in a house one time in York, Pennsylvania, and this woman had roughly 20 cats that lived in this little apartment with her, and the cats never went outside. So you can imagine the odor of cat urine times 20 that was incredibly disgusting, and I would leave this place, leave this house, and leave these houses of people that were the equivalent of hoarders, and I would smell like the environment that I was in. That's kind of like the picture I want to share with you in this show today, that if you hang around certain people long enough, you're going to start smelling, you're going to start acting like, you're going to start talking like, you're going to start behaving like people that are not in your best interest. I'll be polite in the way I say that. So have you ever gotten into a car with somebody who maybe hasn't showered in a while? Or maybe they ate some tacos and the whole car smells because they ate some tacos or some spicy food that is, I'm trying to be polite on the show, as you can tell. And then you get out of the car and guess what? You start smelling like that person in the car as well. You know, I went to public school way back when, and I rode on a school bus, and we had a bus driver whose name was Miss Ann. She was petite, and she had dark black hair, and she used a block of wood to extend the gas pedal so she could drive the bus every day. And every day, though, Miss Ann would look in the mirror above her steering wheel to discipline those undisciplined kids on the bus. Not to say I was ever that way, of course. For seconds at a time, her focus was on the few at the back of the bus who were causing havoc as she went from bus stop to bus stop. But you see, Miss Ann didn't have a choice who rode on her bus. Miss Ann, again, didn't have a choice who rode on her bus. There's an ancient text that says, don't be deceived, bad company corrupts good morals. Again, bad company corrupts good morals. What you hang around, who you hang around, who you allow in your car or your life can have a big impact on where you end up. In that same insurance office I was in back in the 80s, there was a gentleman that sat behind me. His name is Jim Bean, B-E-A-N. Jim Bean was, I'd say at that time, in his late 50s. I was maybe 22, 23 years old. And Jim would oftentimes, we sat back to back to each other, and he would oftentimes, as he saw me struggling, as he saw me trying to venture out into this new industry for me, and he would calm my anxieties, he would calm my fears. There was another gentleman in the office named John Pergott. John Pergott was a younger guy, a few years older than me at the time, very tall, I'd say probably 6'2", blonde, spiky hair, good-looking guy, well put together. And I would come in there in the hotter months and I would have my short sleeve shirt and tie on. And then one day he looked at me and says, John, if you want to look professional, you want to wear long sleeves. Now, again, we're talking probably 1990, 1991 back then. And I looked at him and said, long sleeves, it's hot outside. He says, John, listen to me. If you want to look and be perceived as professional, you need to wear long sleeves during your business day. And that, believe it or not, 30 years later, 28 years later, has stuck with me as a result of his little comment to help me get through some things that I was going through at the time. So how many people in your life really are you hanging around that's creating an attitude in your own life, that's creating a mindset in your life that is not healthy at all? There are some people that thrive on negativity. Maybe people, everything that they go through, the sky is falling. Maybe they look at life that's going around them, and maybe they're believing things that aren't very healthy for them, and then as they regurgitate these words get into your ears. I'm telling you flat out, the older I get, the more I'm very particular who I choose to hang out with. Because I know every person that I hang out with is going to have an impact in my life in some form or fashion. So do I want to hang out with people that are negative? Do I want to hang out with people that are destructive? Do I want to hang out with people that don't know that they don't know? Listen to me. There are a lot of people in your life that don't know that they don't know. There are some people that strive, I think, primarily to just get the approval of other people. They just want to be the center of attention for everybody around them instead of doing the right thing. Maybe they just want to focus on being popular, or maybe they just want to follow the crowd, or maybe they just want to be liked and they'll do anything and everything just to be liked. I'm telling you, if you want to go somewhere in your life, you have to get the right people around you, because you're unlikely to get there wherever there is all by yourself. Every day you make decisions about who and what influence you. Again, every day you make decisions about who and what influences you. Some relationships, I think, and experiences will have a bigger impact on your destiny while others won't. Let me give you another story. Way back when I was in 8th grade, I had a teacher, I'm not going to name her name, but it was a Spanish teacher. And this Spanish teacher would tease me and put me down in the Spanish class. Now, there were probably, 15 or 20 other kids in the Spanish class, and I was seated up front per what she instructed us to do, so I had a front row seat. And she would crack jokes about me all the time in front of my schoolmates. She'd put me down and she'd call me names I'm not going to repeat here, and really derogatory ways for an adult to slam a, I don't know how old I was at the time, 13, 14-year-old kid. So I'm wondering, has that impacted me? I better bet it has impacted me. Because when I see things like that happen in other people or around other people, instantaneously, I'm not going to say her name, almost did, comes back and reminds me that maybe that's not a behavior that I need to echo, or maybe that I need to squash because it's impacting other people in their own way. Again, every day you make decisions about who and or what influences you. And some relationships, some experiences will have a huge impact on your destiny while others won't. Back into that same insurance office I was in, my boss, his name's John, and One day I came in griping to him like crazy. I was so upset about my day, and people were getting on my nerves and just really, really getting under my skin. And he sat me down in his office and he looked at me, he said, "John, Lizer." Lizer? Excuse me, say that again. What is a Lizer? L-I-S-O-R. John Lizer. Just remember Lizer. I said, "But John, what is a Lizer?" He said, "Lacking in sense or reason." Lacking in sense or reason. Wait a minute. Are you telling me that I don't need to get upset about the people that are plucking my nerves and that are making wrong choices and are doing things that aren't very healthy? He says, "John, Lizer, they're lacking in sense or reason." And that was a light bulb that went off in my head, which has stuck with me decades later as a result of his little 5-minute conversation, that I didn't have to get upset about the actions of other people, that I had to take really an inventory about my own actions and about my own attitudes if I was going to learn and to do and to evolve. An ancient proverb says, "He who walks with wise people will be wise, but the companion of fools will suffer harm." I would venture to say that most people don't know that they're walking with fools most of the time. You say, "John, that's a bold statement." Well, yeah, you might want to say that. But I would suggest to you that most people in your life don't know that they don't know. Most people in your life have no clue where they're going in life, and maybe they have no agenda. They have no game plan. Most times you don't understand the impact of your words. Most people that have achieved anything great in life are careful about the words they use. I have been guilty of not being careful about the words I use. I think I'm getting better at it, but I certainly haven't arrived in any status of anything at all. The people that really achieve things great in our life really understand that they have to be adamantly fanatical about who they allow in their lives at any given time, because it not only impacts your life, but impacts everybody else's lives on the road. That is, the interaction that you're going to have with other people in your life are definitely related to the relationships that you have in your life. Think about that a minute. Because the relationships that you have in your life impact people beyond your little circle. I know they do mine. There's several people in my life that I have pushed out of my life as a result of their habits are A, not healthy, B, unethical. Some of them are frankly evil, and they choose not to do the right thing consistently. So do I want to have those kinds of people in my life that will not only impact my life, but the lives of people in my circle, and then the lives of people in those people's circles? You see, it's like a ripple effect. It does impact everybody else in your life. So have you ever maybe stopped at a red light and your windows are vibrating from the music in the car next to you or behind you or in front of you? That's kind of like a metaphor. And who you allow in your life can cause you to just get distracted, to cause you to fall on your face. They can enable you to really do things and experience things that are not very healthy at all. I've gone through a boatload of situations in my own life where I've allowed certain people and certain circumstances to get too close to me, and then it impacted me for a very long time, because distractions can happen. But the important part in your life, I think, is to reduce the number of times those distractions can happen. You think, "John, how can that be?" Well, in my world, at least in my life and the things I've learned, that people that are going places in life choose to design their lives in a way that they eliminate as many of the distractions as possible. I say, "John, well, how can that happen?" Well, distractions happen because maybe sometimes we're not focused. There's an ancient story about a family who were encouraged to make a change in their lives. And the wife, frankly, didn't really want to make that change. So as the husband decided, we're going to make this change, the wife kind of resented it and looked back and kind of got stuck in that situation because she really wanted what was really not healthy for her, and she decided to kind of stay there anyway. And I wonder how many times in your own life haven't you been tempted to look back at what wasn't very healthy in your own life, thus it really gave you a mental, I call it a mental block, a difficult time in your life where you couldn't see beyond where you were right now. When we were building our house in 2006, my wife could see the finished product. I couldn't see it. I could see it on the blueprint, but I couldn't see it in reality. So as they began to build the house, I can remember one day the foundation was built, the walls were up, the basement walls were up, and the construction people had put the flooring in on the first floor. There were no other walls up. It was just the basement, the foundation, all that, and the subfloor on the first floor. So we were there one day, and again, we're open air. There's no walls around us at all. So she's walking around the first floor, and she says, this is where the kitchen's going to be, this is the laundry room, this is the pantry, this is the living room, et cetera, this is the office. And I'm asking her, how can you see this? She goes, you mean you can't see this? I said, no, I can't, because all I saw was subfloor. All I saw was open air. I saw trees around me because there were no walls up. But she could see it. And I think that's a metaphor for you and I, that you need to hang around people who can see the finished product even though you can't see the finished product at the time. You say, John, how can that be? How is that possible? Well, in my world, I believe that when you hang around with wise people who have been there and done that, you're going to be able to achieve some things and to realize some opportunities in your life that you can't see because you haven't been there yet. Whereas the wise people in your life, and I'm sure you have a couple of them that you may not have identified yet, have been there and done that, that can give you a little guideline, that can give you a roadmap, that can give you a path, or give you some advice that can help you see areas in your life that maybe you can't see because you haven't lived through it yet. Hanging around with wise people tends to make us wise. So identifying those wise people in your life is absolutely essential if you want to achieve anything great in life. There's another ancient story about this leader who wanted to venture out and do something extraordinary. So he had about 10 managers with him, and he decided to send these 10 managers out to surveil this new opportunity. So about a month and a half goes by, and they're out surveying this particular idea, and they come back, and the main leader, decided to hold this big meeting with all the rest of the people on the board and the company, and along with the 10 people that were sent out for 40 days or so to check out what the new opportunity was. So they came back, and these 10 people decided to share their experiences and what they surveyed and what their opinions of what the new opportunity could be. But there was a problem. You see, these 10 shared the news not only with the leader, but they shared it with the crowd. And here's what happened. 2 of the 10 said, man, this is a huge opportunity for us. We can do this. This is going to be easy peasy, no problem at all. The other 8, however, started spreading very negative news. There's no way we can accomplish this. What this leader wants to do is way beyond our ability to achieve this. So what happened is the crowd heard the 8. The crowd didn't hear the 2. And I think that's probably similar to what might be going on in your life and certainly in my life is the temptation for you is to listen to the 8 who maybe don't know that they don't know. Maybe you tend to ignore the 2 who see the opportunities, who see a future that you can achieve in your own life that maybe you can't see in your own life. So what happened was, at the end of the story, was after the 10 voiced their opinion, and panic started spreading around this entire group of people that were eavesdropping on what these guys were saying, that the leader had to hush the crowd because the crowd was getting really out of hand. They're saying, leader, we can't do this. We can't take on this new venture. It's beyond our ability to excel. We're going to lose. We're going to lose in every area. So the leader decided to hush the crowd. And guess what he did? He took the advice of the 2. He ignored the advice of the 8. And as a result, according to the storyline, some really amazing things happened as a result of taking the advice of the wise instead of listening to the people that were negative. One of my first mentors is a guy named Jim Rohn, R-O-H-N. Jim passed away several years ago. He said a few things that I think I'm going to share with you as I wind up the show for today. He said, don't wish it was easier, wish you were better. Don't wish for less problems, wish for more skills. Don't wish for less challenge, wish for more wisdom. We must all suffer one of 2 things, the path of discipline or the pain of regret. He said, if you're not willing to risk the unusual, you will have to settle for the ordinary. Success, he writes, is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every day. He ends with this quote, don't join the easy crowd, you won't grow. Go where the expectations and the demands to perform are high. As I started the show, I was in this car several times with my boss. And consistently, he would encourage me, John, don't quit. Don't give up. Keep going. You can do this. Even though I was 21, 22 years old, struggling, scared out of my mind, I was placed in situations that I had no clue how I was going to get out of it. But I was always number 2, 3, and 4 in the office almost every single week because I chose to hang around this wise man named John McGinnis, who chose to encourage me to keep me moving forward, even though I wanted to quit 100 times, probably more than 100 times. Sometimes the people who make it in life are ones who just stick with it longer than everybody else, because it seems like in the story I shared a few minutes ago, panic seems to spread faster than courage. Again, panic seems to grow faster than courage. So you have to be intentional about who you allow in your car. You have to be intentional about who you allow in your life. So here's the key. You decide who rides in your car. You decide who you choose to be in their circle. You choose who you allow to be in your circle of friends. And I think more importantly is you have to decide who you want to be part of your life to mentor you, to give you wisdom, to give you the tools that you need to accomplish great things in your life. So really, if you stop and think about it, it really stops and starts right here. Everything else that goes on around you is going to happen whether you like it or not. I'm still learning that. But what you do in the middle of it, what you do as you go through it, what you do as you endure some of the most difficult times in your life will determine where you end up, and more importantly, who you allow in your car. I hope an idea or two gave you some insight into your life and help you decide to allow certain people in your life, in your car, and others you need to have them leave. My name is John Carver. Thanks for watching, and we'll be back real soon.